Everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome to episode 50 of Myth Busting Mondays. 50 weeks of this incredible series, and to that, I just want to say one thing. Thank you. Thank you to everybody that has helped this series grow as much as it has. Thank you for all the likes, the comments, the views, just the flat-out love on this series is incredible. I just want to say is that thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You are all incredible. And so to end up showing you how grateful I am for the fact that you guys have supported this series, I'm going to be giving you guys a special episode for episode 50, where I end up doing double the myths, where we end up doing 10 myths in this episode, and they're basically all incredible myths. I can't think of any bad one that was requested of me, so I'm looking forward to showing you guys what is in this episode. And ladies and gentlemen, for the final myth, the final epic myth of this incredible special episode, we are going to be seeing if whether or not it is possible to play Dominoes with oxygen tanks in Left 4 Dead. Now, you may not know exactly what I'm referring to when I say this at first, but just trust me, when you see the final myth in action, you will understand how epic this is going to be. But yeah, guys, as always, I hope you end up enjoying today's episode, and if you do end up enjoying it, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe to show your guys' support. Make sure you leave your myths for a future episode, and I hope you guys end up looking forward to the 50th episode of Myth Busting Mondays. Myth: can you slow down a tank by shoving it? Okay, everybody, so starting off strong with the very first myth. This was submitted in by Adam Rakin. So Adam, thank you for contributing to this special episode. I appreciate you, my G. And the way that we're going to be testing out your myth, my friend, is we're going to be having Glabursko and Dan be tanks, and we're going to be having them run from one set point to another while we are meleeing one, and seeing if whether or not that the one that we're meleeing is slowed down and can keep up. So that is what we're going to be doing here on the dead center streets. We're going to be having them run from the very back of the police car to the street pole, and Drages is going to be meleeing one of the two guys, and we're going to be seeing if whether or not by meleeing that it genuinely slows the tank down. Okay, so here we go. Here comes the race. Now keep in mind that Drages is indeed meleeing the tank, which is on my left, and take a look at this. Something's going on here. Now, we do understand that this could have been a fluke, so we decided to do this once more. So rather than watching Drages do this, I decided to just melee the tank myself. So you guys can see that I'm going to be meleeing the one tank that's on the left side here. And you can see that as I am meleeing this particular tank, the tank on the right is starting to outrun him just little by little each time. So it's not by much, but it is doing something here. There is something going on at play. We even decided to do this a third time on one of the other guys because I was specifically meleeing only one tank at the time over and over and over again. So I wanted to try it on one of the different guys to see if there was a difference, because technically everyone has different ping, and there could be a possibility of lag, especially with given in Glabursko's case, because Glabursko ends up having the worst ping out of all of us, given the fact that he's from Europe and we're all from America. So Glabursko sometimes is anywhere between at least 100 and 150 ping on the regular, which makes it so that way he can't exactly keep up with us sometimes. However though, Dan, who happens to be the closest to me, ends up having basically perfect connection, and the exact same thing happens no matter which one of them I'm meleeing, which is speaking volumes about this myth. So after seeing this from Drage's perspective, and after having this be done on my perspective, and using this on all the different tanks with a whole bunch of different connections, and seeing the exact same results at play, I am really a strong believer of this myth. In fact, actually, every single time we tested it, it did work. Every single time we'd stun the tank, there would be this view wobble that the guys would experience, and they would get slower and slower and slower. It's not going to ever kill the tank, but it slows him down, which therefore means that this myth is actually confirmed. If you are ever in a situation where I guess you were just in a pinch and you just needed to get away, you could melee the tank. Now keep in mind, he could just turn around and instantly bitch slap KO you, but at least it's better than nothing. Myth: can multiple people sacrifice themselves in the sacrifice campaign? Okay guys, so for this myth, it was a little bit tricky to test, but I think that we managed to get something here. So for this myth, it was submitted in by Samuel Oliveira. So Samuel, thank you, I appreciate you for contributing to the episode. And when it comes to this myth, the reason why I say it's a little bit tricky is because within the credits, it doesn't specifically say if whether or not you sacrificed yourself or if you just flat out died. They are classified as the exact same thing. So instead of just having us all wait till the end credits, what I'm instead going to show you is the progression bar. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, basically, when you end up going to the generator, you know, you have that little yellow bar that fills up, basically saying when the generator is about to complete, and then you immediately collapse because a tank throws a rock at you. Well, what we're going to have happen is someone's going to be left behind on the bridge, so it doesn't automatically end, because if everybody jumps, the campaign just stops. But we're going to have 3 of us try to go to the generator. It's going to end up being me, Glabursko, and Drages. And when I hit E on the generator, the other guys weren't able to interact with it. In fact, when they were interacting with it, because you can see their hand go to reach for with their character model, my progress just stops. This isn't me just like letting go of it. It's just getting interrupted completely, which I thought was really interesting because it goes as in depth as this little progression bar. It doesn't let you all do the exact same animation for some reason. So even though there's nothing in the credits to say who sacrificed themselves for everybody, technically it only really does let one person do it because you all can't just turn on the generator together. It only lets one person do it. That means therefore that only one person can sacrifice themselves, and that means that this myth is going to end up being busted. You can only have one single person do the sacrifice action, even if multiple people jump off the bridge with you, which means that it's really not worth your time to end up helping out your buddy unless you're giving them covering fire. Myth: can you kill a witch with pipe bombs? Alrighty guys, so for the third myth, this is going to be submitted in by UG Spike. And UG Spike, I like what you're doing here because the witch has died in many ways, but she's never died to a pipe bomb from my knowledge. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a little prison for the witch. Now via console commands, I'm going to be making a circular area in the map made out of concrete pillars. And these concrete pillars are going to make it so that way the witch cannot escape. She's just permanently stuck there no matter how much she is enraged because she can't climb these. And me and everyone else in the game are just going to spam pipe bombs at her. Now before we proceed throughout this myth, I just want to let you all know verbally, as much as I'm also putting an annotation on screen, that this myth particularly has a lot of flashing lights because the explosion of the pipe bomb is going to be just bright light in your face constantly. So if you are prone to seizures, I suggest that you skip this particular myth and move on to the next one, and if there's another set of flashing lights, I will let you know once again. Alright, so here goes the test. So what you're watching right now is sped up footage of when me and everyone were spamming the pipe bombs. Now, keep in mind that when we spammed the pipe bombs here, the witch was making noises and we were able to enrage her, so it means it was hitting her with the explosion blast radius. Now, the pipe bomb, as far as I'm aware, can kill anything because it does a set amount of damage and the witch also has a set amount of health. So we just did X amount of witch health minus the initial damage from the pipe bomb that she would have taken, and then we went to end up seeing what the results caused, and when we ended up seeing that the witch wasn't screaming anymore in pain, we noticed that her body wasn't in the chamber anymore, or at least not that I could see. So I would like to believe that after 100 pipe bombs being blown up simultaneously in front of her, that she probably just ended up dying to them, because never did she end up escaping, and nor did I see her glitch out. The game played as normal, so I would personally like to believe that this myth worked. So I'm going to say that this is confirmed. You can kill the witch with a pipe bomb, although don't even bother trying to do this in a public match, you will instantly regret it. Myth: can you heal while falling in the air? Alrighty guys, this myth was submitted in by Walter White, which is just Zoe's alternate name at the moment, and Zoe, thank you for submitting this myth in. This is a pretty cool concept and I like what you're going with here. Now, with this particular myth, I decided that I wanted to end up doing this on No Mercy, because No Mercy ends up having the elevator shaft in the hospital. To my knowledge, I believe that the elevator shaft on No Mercy's hospital is the biggest drop in the entire game naturally, so this would make the most sense to do this other than possibly Dead Stairs Atrium, but that's just a little bit smaller. Now, when it comes to this myth, I decided to do medkit first, then I decided to do the pain pills, and then I decided to do the adrenaline, because there's all different healing items and one may give us a different result. So now that I am damaged, I'm going to jump and I'm going to be trying the medkit first. Now, the moment that I jump, I try to start healing, but it does not work. The game just flat out denied me the option to. It's not even a matter of trying to heal before you splat, it just didn't even let me heal and I automatically splat. I had no choice. Now, that means that the medkit part, at least portion of this myth, is going to be busted, but what about the pain pills and the adrenaline shot? Okay, exact same play session, exact same spot, with the exact same circumstances. So here we go, and I take the pain pills absolutely just fine. The pain pills were not even an issue. But hey, you win some, you lose some, so we have one thing that works and another thing that doesn't, so we got one more to test. Okay, so here we go. Here is the last one. This is going to end up being with the adrenaline shot. Now, with the adrenaline shot, I personally think that if it's the exact same logic as the pain pills because it's in the exact same category, that this has a chance of working. And to my surprise, yep, it indeed works. So the ratio is going to be 2 out of 3, which means that it's technically confirmed. However, though, it is a matter of luck of which item that you have in your inventory at the time, because technically, if you end up having an adrenaline shot and pain pills, you might survive the fall depending on how big it is. But if it's a med kit, though, you're kind of screwed. Okay, guys, so this is normally where the final myth would kick in. However, though, for the final myth, it's going to end up being 5 more myths ahead of us. So what are we going to do here? What we're going to be doing is that I want to end up having a special myth here. This is going to be what I like to call the halftime show myth. This is a myth that if we were doing a normal episode of Myth Busting Mondays would end up being final myth worthy. This myth is something that is extremely fun, and the results will end up being really, really cool to see. And I think it's honestly the equivalent of doing a final myth. So I thought that, hey, why not include this and make it something special? So it's like you get 2 final myths in 1 episode. So I think this will be pretty neat. So yeah, guys, what is this myth? Let's find out. Let's go on to the halftime show myth. But first, a word from today's sponsor.
Penis.
Gotcha. Myth. Can you stop the Midnight Riders tour bus on the passing? So this myth was a result of Dan, Glabersko, Drages, and me coming up and brainstorming with some ideas, and this idea was really, really cool. I thought that the idea of just blocking the tour bus in the middle of the road would just be insane, and technically the bus has done stuff before, such as run over special infected like the tank, so I know that this thing is a solid object. So it's not like it's intangible. I believe that this thing can be stopped. It's possible. In fact, I actually think that this is the equivalent of our version of stopping the train in GTA 5, funnily enough. But yes, guys, is it possible to stop the Midnight Riders tour bus? Can we just shove things in front of it and block him from getting to his path? Is it possible? Let's find out. Alrighty, guys, so here we go. We have got no clip active. We have got our objects ready to spawn in. We have got our mental fortitude ready. Let's get ready to open the door and cut off the Midnight Riders tour bus. So whoever's driving this damn thing, get ready, because 3 neighborhood tryhards and 1 weirdo that uploads this stuff to the internet is ready to get in front of you. Here we go. I'm spamming everything I possibly can. Let's see. Can we stop the Midnight Riders tour bus? Okay, let's see. Where is it? Oh my god, holy shit, it works! Haha! It actually fucking worked, I can't believe it. I honestly cannot believe it. And the cool thing about this too is I finally get the chance to take a damn look at this bus. I can see the outside and even the inside of it. Dude, this is so sweet. I actually am so happy that this worked, because out of all the myths that we were testing here today, this one seemed the most outlandish. This seemed like the one that was going to be the least likely to work. And when it comes to looking in the inside, by the way, there is nobody in here, because before with prior myths I did see if whether or not it was possible to end up seeing if there was a driver in here, but unfortunately there's not, so nobody drives this thing, it's just possessed by a ghost. But dude, you can even see the back with all the tour dates and everything. It's just super cool that you can see this damn bus. It is so cool. And I also do just want to clarify something, by the way, is that if you want to do this exact same thing in your own game, I want to clarify something. The objects in the game don't all treat this equally. What do I mean by this? Well, basically, when we tried to do this, you're watching the footage of the successful attempt. Not every object we tried would block the bus. It's not the walls, and it's not the concrete that blocked it. Believe it or not, it's other cars. If you spawn in other cars, they will collide because there's something to do with the physics. But once we start deleting them in just a second here, you will see that the bus slowly inches more and more forward. It doesn't matter what wall you stick in front of it, or even if it's a destroyed building wall like Dan has. If there's no car, it's not going to stop it. It just fades through the brick wall like it's nothing. So technically, the bus is not completely immune to everything. However, though, it's immune to the weirdest of things. But yeah, that's how we did it, and now you can do it too. So this is something really cool, guys. Please definitely do this at home. I think you'll get a massive kick out of it. And the myth is indeed confirmed. Let's go. This was a lot of fun to test. And Glabersko, by the way, since you were the one that encouraged us to do this and to not give up, I wanted to also give you a special little reward, by the way. Here's your reward, my G.
Penis.
Myth. Can you anger a witch by throwing Nomchansky at her? Alrighty guys, this next myth was requested by Nitwit, and Nitwit, I see that you in the Discord said that you were really extremely excited last time I announced that your myth was in an episode. Well, how about now? How about now? Let's get some hype in! Are you excited now, motherfucker? Are you excited now? Let's treat this like a monster truck derby, bitches! I'm so hyped I can light my hair on fire! Alrighty guys, now that I lit my hair on fire and we're ultimately hyped, let's end up doing this myth. So Nitwit, we are going to be spawning in a witch in the pool of the motel at Dark Carnival, and we're just going to be throwing Gnome Chomsky right at her. We're going to be seeing whether or not there's a enraging with the collision effect. Now keep in mind that we're also trying to do this from a safe distance so we just don't naturally piss her off, so that way there's no placebos. Okay guys, so here we go. We're about to spawn in a witch in the pool now, and we're going to start throwing Gnome Chomsky at her. We have multiple Gnome Chomskys, and it looks like that Glabursko got a direct hit, and then Dan had slide for some reason underneath of the witch, but none of those worked until we ran right next to the witch, which means that this myth is going to end up being busted. Gnome Chomsky alone cannot piss off the witch, but you as a player, if you were to melee her, that would probably do it, but that is not the point of the myth, so therefore I am leaving it at busted. Myth. Can a special infected that's lit on fire light a nearby gasoline can on fire? Alrighty guys, this next myth was also submitted by Nitwit. Yeah, Nitwit, you thought that because you were hyped that I was gonna stop at 1. I'm not done with you yet, motherfucker. We need more hype. If I don't see you in the comments saying that you're hype, man, I'm gonna fucking lose it. I got more colors of hair that I need to go through, man. Come on. Come on. Where's the hype now, Nitwit? Ah! Alright, before my parents end up thinking that I'm talking to the voices again, let's get back to the myth. So Nitwit, for your second myth here, we're going to be having it where we are on versus survival. Believe it or not, we have not done this for a myth before, I don't think. And what we're going to be having happen is we're going to have Glabursko running at us as a special infected, and I'm going to be lighting him on fire with a Molotov, and he's going to be walking right next to a gasoline can, and he's going to be the tank, which is going to end up allowing him to have the most amount of time before he inevitably burns to death, and a bot won't be able to shoot him to death, which means that there's going to be a lot of time for him to just sit on the gasoline can. And it's going to show you a lot of different things about how the embers and the animation fly next to it, and how kind of there is a collision effect that happens with certain objects. So right here, I'm about to light Glabursko on fire, and then we're going to be going over to the helicopter, so that way we can end up getting the one gasoline can, and Glabursko is just simply going to sit on it, and it's going to show you a couple of different things. It's number one, that he's literally right next to it. So other than mailing the gasoline can itself, he's right next to it. So there could be a nearby spark that would also end up happening. Also, in addition to that, we have not done anything else to this gas can, so it's not like there's any other placebos about it being shot or moved or anything. All we did was just put it in place so that way Glabursko was on top of it. So here we go. I am grabbing the gasoline can now and letting Glabursko get near it. Now, don't mind that the zombies were interrupting my view. It was just something that was just a placebo. But I end up looking at him, and all that ended up happening is that his dead body just eventually died from the fire, and nothing happened to the gasoline can, which means that, unfortunately, Nitwit, this myth is also busted. However, though, I appreciate you indulging my spastic nature, and it was a lot of fun messing with you, man, so thanks for that. Myth. Can you save yourself from fall damage by using oxygen tanks? Alrighty guys, this next myth was submitted in by Star, so Star, thank you for submitting this my way. Now, I like this because we have tested a variety of different things on the channel about whether or not that certain things can save your life from fall damage. We have tested out frag round shotguns, we have tested out exploding a boomer, we have tested out using different types of explosives such as the pipe bomb, and also even some other things that we've never shown before on video, such as the propane tanks, which I now know also do work. But now we want to see if this can work with the oxygen tank. Now, the oxygen tank does function very similar in nature to a lot of these different items, but the main key difference with this one, though, is that the explosion is delayed. So we need to end up being careful here. We need to end up having it where the oxygen tank doesn't explode and kill us. We also need to make sure that we don't miss the drop, and we also need to make sure that the oxygen tank is specifically the thing that's saving us, and not anything else. So we have a confined space that we're going to be working with, and we're going to be having everybody watch every time that we take a turn, so that way we can verify if whether or not that the test was legitimate or not. Now, because of the nature of the explosive being delayed, we thought it would be easier to end up having one person be designated shooter while the other person just simply jumps, because then you can end up timing only one thing and not two things. So I decided to shoot the oxygen tanks to help out Glabursko, but it might be a little bit of a mixture because of the ping, or it might be because of the fact that this is kind of a tricky thing to end up guessing properly. So Glabursko had a hard time with it, and even Dan and Drages and myself had a hard time with it. So even though we tried to be cheeky and end up shooting for somebody else, we thought it'd be better just to end up doing the shooting and the jumping like we did with anything else before, and this one proved the most difficult, because trying to shoot and also jump was a really hard thing to do, because you have to be very, very accurate in your timing. However, though, we pressed on because we knew that this myth was going to be epic and we wanted to be special for the episode. So Star, despite the PTSD flashbacks I have from looking at this oxygen tank, we decided to press on. Now, because of the fact that this myth was not working the way we wanted it to, and it was giving us a hard time, we said that we were only going to do this just one more time. And if it didn't work, we were just going to label it at plausible, and basically just say that it's something that is too difficult to realistically do. So here we go. I am the very last person, and I'm doing the final hoorah for this myth. So let's do this. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Jump. Hey! 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 Look at that! Oh, well, that wasn't that painful at all. I only have shrapnel in my butthole now, but, yeah. Hey, look at that. It works. Well, pinch my nipples and call me Nicolas Cage.
Congratulations! That was the first use of that analogy ever!
Alright, meme lords, this one's confirmed. Myth. Can a tank juggle a survivor? Okay, guys, so this next myth was submitted in by my boy Globbersko. Now, Globbersko wants to know, can you end up having a survivor be juggled by the tanks? Can you end up literally juggling them like a professional, like, circus actor, for example? Now, this is something that I think should be possible given the fact of the corpse launch nature and physics of the tanks, but I never have seen this happen before. Maybe this is something that has happened to somebody else, but this is definitely a first for me. So yeah, guys, I'm going to stop talking now and let's cut straight to the footage. Okay, guys, so here is going to end up being the footage of the attempt. Now, Globbersko is going to end up being the survivor ball in this question, and me, Dan, and Drages are going to be the juggling tanks. Now, the problem with this particular myth is that it's very much oriented based off of timing. But even if you were perfectly good at timing, the mechanics can sometimes get in the way of this too. Because the tank's accuracy, for some reason, is really bad, and I've only ever noticed it when I'm deliberately trying to hit a certain thing. Because when I've just used the tank before, I would just kind of smack blindly. Sure, I'd be trying to hit the survivor, but it would be at like point-blank range. I wasn't intending him to fling anywhere, I was much rather just intending to just hit him. When you're trying to hit the survivor and fling them a certain direction, that's a completely different story, because never have I had this much of a hard time trying to get him to land in a certain spot. You can even see gameplay examples in this video of how wonky and hard this was, because when we were trying to aim Globbersko in a particular direction, sometimes the game would just say, F you, he's going this way. Like, Dre just could end up aiming straight, and Globbersko fly sideways. It just does not make any sense. Now, I believe that if you were really, really, really disciplined, and I mean really, emphasis on really, I'm serious. If you had enough discipline and you dedicated time and time again into this particular activity, I think that this is possible. However, though, is it worth it? Absolutely hell no. It is not worth your time to do this. If this were to happen on accident, that'd be nifty. But the survivor only has so much health anyways, so at the very most, it's gonna work once. It's not worth your time. It's a fun concept, and it's definitely a really interesting myth, but Globbersko, I am only confident at the very most labeling this as plausible. I cannot confidently say that this is confirmed, because confirmed is like you can complete it and you can replicate it. Plausible is like you can do it once, and I think that's fair to say you can at least do this once. So I hope you're understanding where I'm coming from, buddy, but I am not comfortable with labeling it as confirmed, and I'm not comfortable with labeling it as busted either, so this is the most fair option. Alright, everybody, so after an epic, long episode of Myth-Busting Mondays, we finally move on to the last myth. Now, for the last myth, this is the most elaborate stunt we have ever tried to pull off throughout this entire series. This myth just sounds insane from the title, but you have to see the work that we put in to try to even get this to happen in the first place. So once again, the final myth is going to be, can you play Dominoes with the effects and gameplay mechanics in Left 4 Dead 2? So here we go, everybody. Let's see what we ended up building to get this to happen. Myth, can you play Dominoes with oxygen tanks in Left 4 Dead 2? Okay guys, so for the final myth of today's epic episode, this was requested by Dan, and you have to just see the setup for what we were trying to do here. So we decided to see if we could have a whole entire domino course from one safe room to another, an entire chapter's worth. So we went to the second chapter of Dead Center, and we went from the streets at the very beginning of the hotel all the way over to the mall. And we had a sandbag path lined up all the way that direction. And we decided to place oxygen tanks everywhere in this entire thing. This took up the entire chapter of the map. It was ridiculous, and it was so cool. When everything was all said and done, just the setup of the sandbags alone, this took us over an hour. And then there was also the part with the oxygen tanks and trying to place enough oxygen tanks that they all connect so that way the signal doesn't break and that they don't miss was extremely hard to do. But we decided to press on despite how tedious this was going to be and also with the risk of a lag spike. We knew that this was going to be an epic myth to test. And dude, it was just so much fun just setting this up and just seeing how elaborate our scheme was. This setup was just such a cool sight to foresee that the sight of it was just cool. It was something that without even testing it was just incredible. The fact that we were thinking of a myth that was so out there and such a creative idea, it was just enlightening to me. It was like, damn, this game has been over a decade old at this point, and there is still so many different cool things. Like, who the hell would have thought of this idea other than our weird asses? Bruh, just look at the halfway point of our setup here. This is just ridiculous, man. It's almost funny just staring at it. I'm just serious. Like, legitimately, I'm amused by just looking back at it. It was extremely fun to just do this. But however, though, there was one thing that unfortunately was this myth's downfall. And that was going to end up being lag. Unfortunately, after so many things spawned in on the map, the game just couldn't take it anymore and it crashed. Now, meme lords, even though that setup looked epic and it was a disappointing thing that the game crashed, we did not give up. We decided to press onward and just instead do a different approach. We decided that this myth was not done until we said it was damn done. For this attempt, we instead loaded up Dead Center's Atrium. And with Dead Center's Atrium, we ended up going up the steps and having a kind of a zigzaggy Hot Wheels setup. If you remember those old Hot Wheels sets, that's what we decided to do with this. So we decided to go with less is more. But it ended up working out easier because we, well, let's just say didn't have our computer shitting themselves, as much at least. Alright everybody, here we go, the final myth of the epic episode 50. So for the special episode, what is going to happen? And by the way, just as a side note, I just want to let you all know that this has flashing lights in this myth as well. So if you do have photosensitivity, please take this into consideration. But here we go guys, let's see what happens. Alright everybody, so as the Left 4 Dead crew would say, who's ready for some fireworks? So let's do this. 3, 2, 1, and let's see if they actually connect. Oh, they're really starting off strong. Hey, look at that. It's working. It's working. Do I feel like a mad scientist? Let's go. They're going all the way up the stairs too. And I mean, technically the game's lagging a shit ton, but I mean, hey, before it crashed, it was working. Let's go. Now here's the thing though guys, that even though the game did crash, it at least was working. At least it didn't crash before we were even able to light the fuse. So for me, that's good enough, and I am going to be labeling this myth as confirmed today. That was epic, and even for the small amount of time that we were able to spend with this myth, it was incredibly awesome to watch. Now everybody, before this episode ends, I wanted to show you all one more thing, because this was the surprise that Dan, Glabursko, and Drages were working on in the lead up to episode 50. This was kind of their way of saying thanks for making the videos that I make, and it was just something that I really thought was genuinely nice of them to do, because I didn't ask them to do this, they just made this out of the kindness of their hearts. And I wanted to show you their work, because never in my life have I ever had someone make something this awesome for me personally, and it's just something that I want to show my appreciation and gratitude for. So, after all is said and done, here is the surprise for episode 50 that I've been keeping from you guys. So, believe it or not, Dan, Glabursko, and Drages, all three of them went out of their way to make me my very own custom map. This is something that is incredible. I have officially got a custom map in Left 4 Dead. In fact, it's not even I, it's we. This map was dedicated specifically to myth busting. It's got safe room doors, it's got med kits, it's got guns, it's got a whole bunch of different things. Zombie spawners are upstairs. They end up having everything that you could possibly think of for myth testing. There's a car area where you can end up having car alarms. And it's just something just so cool. And it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's very pure, and that's why I love it. It's such a simple thing for a lot of people, but for me, it means everything, because it's cool because now technically this is the second ever thing that one of you guys has made where it puts me in one of my favorite video games of all time. One other time that somebody did this was like Jake Squid, my one Twitch mod, put me as a Minecraft AI in his one Minecraft server, which was just incredible as well. The idea of being in a video game has always just been something cool to me, and I will forever cherish this. So I sound like a broken record here by just sounding super thankful all the time, but I feel like there's not enough of that in the world, so I just want to say thanks, guys. Sincerely. This is epic. I don't know if the guys intend to take this live, because right now it's in a buggy state, and it only works if you have the console commands for it. But however, though, the guys have said that they are working on it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what improvements they have. And hopefully, maybe one day in the future, it will be in an episode of Mythbusting Mondays. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it here for today's episode, for episode 50. If you guys have ended up enjoying today's episode, please end up showing your support by dropping a like, comment, and subscribe, and all that beautiful stuff. Please definitely share this video, by the way, around with someone that you think would end up enjoying this series. I want to be able to include as many people as I can in this series, and just in my content in general. I try to make it as inclusive as possible, because it's not really my channel, it's our channel. So please share this video online, like on Twitter, or with your friends in school, maybe your coworkers, just etc., because the more the merrier, right? But yeah, guys, in addition to that, if you would also like to financially support the channel so I can make more epic videos like this, please also consider checking out my Patreon. It's also linked down below in all my YouTube video descriptions, or you guys could use supporter creator code BlackNinja797 in all caps in the Fortnite Epic Games item shops, because Epic's my very first sponsor, and they are sponsoring today's video, so shout out to Epic Games. I love each and every single one of you guys, and I hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers you're ever going to see. Thank you for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords. Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!